Welcome to the Love, Sex and Freedom podcast. This is where you're going to discover how to bring awakening into the body and into everyday life through powerful tantric teachings. Get ready to release, open and step into your true power.
So today, Tara and I are going to be talking about creating a life that is aligned with your truth. So Tara is going to be sharing a little bit about her own journey towards finding her truth and her passions and how she made that a priority in her life, and also how the practitioner training helped to facilitate some major shifts from, her lifestyle and what she was doing. So Tara, if you want to share a little bit about how you kind of started to find Tantra and then when you did the practitioner training and the difference that made.
Sure. Thanks, Sydelle. It's fun to be on this side. The questions. It's a fun role reversal. I love this. So, there's kind of been a few stages of those big shifts in terms of aligning my life with my truth. And the first one was after 17 years of career in marine ecology and having a pretty awesome time with it, but at the same time stuck behind a desk a lot. I wasn't lit up to go to work, and I'm not really making change in the world through this.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that whatever is going on the planet and in the ocean, it wasn't working directly with that. It was actually the humans who pretty much responsible for impact on the ocean and on the planet that needed awakening and opening. And so I kind of did spirituality in the background. And then a point came in my life where I was just miserable doing what I was doing. And all of the signs were there. I'm much better at listening now. I wasn't so great then. So I kind of went kicking and screaming at that first jump off the cliff to align.
And could you just say what some of those signs were for someone who maybe doesn't?
One, I was just not motivated to go to work at all. But the biggest one was I got an injury. I got a repetitive strain injury from work, RSI, that had me off work for at least 3 years on workers' compensation, seeing the best neuro reprogramming, physiotherapy, chiropractor, you name it, and a whole heap of people actually in our office at the same time. But I just couldn't get back to my usual working hours, even though I tried and tried it. And my boss in the end was like, I just want you to be happy. You've tried everything. So I resigned when I just was in so much physical pain and so depressed. I just have to stop because I don't want to exist in this life anymore.
Yeah.
And it just having that space, I think it was something like 3 days later that I had a desire and a dream of hosting some of the events that Chantel, that your mum was running. And I'd given I'd all of my savings. I'm like, I'm going to study Tantra because this is the coolest stuff that I've found in 15 years of soul searching at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was through working one-on-one, doing one-on-one sessions with your mum, that in 6 months, the physical pain shifted in a way that Western Australia's top pain psychologists, chiropractor, you name it, musculoskeletal specialists couldn't fix.
Mm-hmm.
And it really showed me the impact of the nervous system and the emotional body and the link on the physical. So that was my first kind of exposure to practitioner training, was by receiving sessions for a 6-month period, pretty solidly, which meant that I could run the academy with her. So that's what I ended up doing and moving into, and it just organically happened, and everything was just a full yes, a full yes, a full yes. And so the next big jump was, like your mom, like Chantel was always doing the sessions, but she hadn't documented that as a training for other people. So I was learning personally off of her. And like all of the online courses, I was the one in her ear saying, I want the whole world to be able to access these teachings. This should be taught in school. So we filmed them, and then we decided, she just started to channel all the content as she does, built this amazing training. And then I was the one there filming it, recording it, reviewing all of it, and then actually practicing it. And it was when she left Bali that she's like, here are my clients, and then people started to come to me for sessions. And so I had to really up level my game by not just studying the material, but actually giving myself sessions, like emotional processing, like what we talk about on all of our individual social media channels. And it was me using all the tools in the practitioner training to really support myself through a divorce, through leaving Australia and being in Bali, and in big shifts in my life, that everything expanded. And that's when I started teaching and earning money and being in my flow and being like, okay, this is what I came here to do. One was to help support that work get out through the academy, but two was for me to work one-on-one with people. And, the biggest gift actually was how it supported me to evolve my being.
Yeah, nice. And so when did you do the practitioner training? Quite early on in the
Oh God, me and time. I'm not quite tracking of it, but it was pre-COVID.
Mhm.
For a couple of years before COVID that I started to do sessions just from learning directly from Chantel. And so I started working kind of more one-on-one with her and learning from her that way,
Mhm.
that I started to do sessions. But then when I moved to Bali, or got stuck in Bali, during COVID, that's when I started to receive more clients, and actually that's when she built out the program itself,
Yeah.
that I could take all the layers of the material and the content behind it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And you
And
would know that yourself, right? It's like you've grown up with this, and I think recently you were sharing some body work and kind of practitioner work that you were supporting your cousin with, and I think your partner maybe with, that, we also learn by osmosis of who we're around and seeing the way that they emotionally process.
yeah. Yeah,
And
definitely. I mean,
your experiences with that would be great to hear about too.
yeah. I had it was like last week, I had kind of been thinking about doing the practitioner training, and then I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if it's in the flow. And then I kind of decided that it wasn't, like, I wasn't going to be in the flow this year. I was like, it just doesn't feel in my ease. But also, I didn't know if that was just me being scared. And so
Mm,
then I think like 2 days later, I was meant to be doing a sister circle with Ariel, and we got to the place and everyone cancelled last minute. So it was just us there, and we are like, okay. And then yeah, I ended up taking her through the adrenaline release practice, and then it just
no.
naturally moved into a session, and it was just like I don't really even know where I was getting the body work that I was doing or the words I was saying. It was just kind of flowing through me through this channel. And yeah, it was amazing to just like have that trust in myself and know that all that wisdom was just within me. And obviously being raised by mum and having that always around has really helped to cultivate that inside, even if I didn't really know that it was there. So yeah, yeah, that was
Yeah.
really incredible to experience, and, then I decided I'm gonna do the practitioner training.
Yoo-hoo! Great.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it. The 4 stages of the session structure is that it's so intuitive. It's
Mhm.
so intuitive. And then the activation phase looks so different depending on what's present with the person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the toolkit that the practitioner gives you, and you're going to just love it. You're going to just froth on the content.
Yeah.
Shadow work or aspecting or, a shamanic journey.
Mm.
Um, but it's so fascinating just watching your being grow and evolve, because you haven't been taught or trained per se, but like it really comes down to that Tantra is just a way of doing life. It's the way that
Mm.
we communicate. It's the way that we feel when we're sad. It's the way that we express and move our anger. It's the
Mm-hmm.
way that we like contract when we're in fear. It's the way that we trust in ourselves. It's the way that we refocus our mind on moving forward, not moving backward. And because you've grown up with such an amazing role model of
Mm.
that, you're so naturally tantric and you're naturally a healer, because it is a way of life as opposed to like a
Yeah.
technique for
Mm-hmm.
learning. And that fucking love about the training is it's just a way of being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And just having that embodiment to witness and live with is definitely such a powerful way of getting that transmission.
Mhm.
Mm. And so, with the practitioner training, is there one kind of aspect that either just really changed a lot for you, like one specific module or whatever? And also, is there any tools that you learnt that you're still kind of using now that help you stay connected to your truth and, what your heart wants and prioritizing that?
I mean, I use them all. I'm doing sessions every week and every client's so different
Mm-hmm.
and they all need different things. And, I've been with the documented material now for what is it? 4 years since we first filmed it. And it's just, I kind of go through 6-month periods. And it's like the more sessions you do, the more that the tools and practices integrate and you kind of find your own way with them. And that's a big part of the training is, like you said, trusting your intuition. You have this toolkit, but then you actually make up your own techniques based
Mm-hmm.
on that understanding. And I find like with everything, there's so many layers of truth to a teaching, and there's so many layers of truth to a practice.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm constantly uncovering. I mean, there's not a single technique in the training that I don't use and love, but I'm finding such deep, especially the mysticism part of it and the shamanic part of it, that's more the energetics. And so I come from a background in science, so I used the tools and techniques very logically in the beginning. And now so much more of a deeper surrender to just open and let grace channel through or let spirit channel through my being, that sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing or how it's coming out. But afterwards I look back and I'm like, that was brilliant. But I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't have seen that
Yeah.
with my mind. It's just what's moving and feeling through my body. And every time I have kind of a quantum leap in my experience as a practitioner, it's because I've had a quantum leap in my own evolution, the dark nights of the soul, which I just posted about today, where I have to use those techniques
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise I stay stuck. And probably my two favorite techniques to answer your question is shadow work, which is unbelievable for the parts of our unconscious that keep sabotaging our life, whether it's addiction, control, anxiety, selfishness, greed, and they're all the sticky parts that most of us spend our whole lifetime not looking at and pointing the finger at other people. But when you sit with your shadow and you use this aspecting technique to, first of all, just let it express, like fully unleashed, and it can be grotesque to feel, there's always
Mm.
the ability beneath that. that
Mhm.
has a need. Every time I do a shadow work process myself and with clients, I'm just like, wow, it's always the same thing. That makes so much sense that that's what I'm needing. And I couldn't have thought of that with my mind at the same time.
Mhm.
And technique is very linked to aspecting where you're communicating with a part of yourself. And the reason I love aspecting is the way that we deal with people is we have a conversation. You and I are having a conversation now. And so when we aspect, we can have a conversation. I've aspected with my yoni when I used to get thrush and UTIs all the time and learned so much from that.
Mhm.
Aspected with my own masculine and feminine when he was being a bully and she was suppressed. Aspected with people with breakups, with partners, with people I'm having challenges with.
Do you wanna
And
just
it's
say what the aspecting process is for anyone that doesn't know what that looks like?
yeah, so if I was aspecting, let's say with I'm going through a breakup, then I would sit on my cushion like this, and I'd put a cushion in front of me, and I'd put that I'd imagine, I'd visualize that that person was sitting in front of me, and I would call in their soul.
Mhm.
And then I would just, say exactly how I felt without any filter because it's not scary, because it's not the person. And then the truth starts to unravel. And so
Mhm.
you empty, and you be as unspiritual as you want. I can be like horrible, whatever it is, or in
Mhm.
full victim, but you just let it out.
Mhm.
You've emptied out, you swap seats and you sit as them. And if you're doing this process and you're really in the feeling, you're not in the mind, you're in your body. And then you just become them and you receive what you've just shared, and you actually can feel how they would respond. And then you start speaking as them.
Mhm.
And unbelievable what comes out. And then they share. And then you sit back as yourself and you go back and forth between the two until there's clarity, resolution. Maybe there's a need, maybe there's a boundary.
Yeah.
And just that when we deal with situations in life with the mind, we're thinking about it, we're making them the perpetrator, ourselves the victim. But with aspecting, you get to the unconscious and you get to see the dynamic that's happening.
Mhm. Yeah. And so with these techniques or any other techniques, if someone realizes that they've kind of started to notice the signs that you said, their life, they're like, I'm not really happy in my life, but they're so scared of change and they're so scared to, step out of their comfort zone and move into that different zone. What would your advice be?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's possible unless, like, for me, I can only speak for myself, unless you have faith and trust in something that is beyond the 3D. And I'm talking about spirit, God, who I like to defer as grand organized design.
Mhm.
And there needs to be an understanding and connection to the fact that we came from bliss, we came from source energy. So that is our natural state, right? And when we've been programmed to not follow our bliss and not follow our joy, but rather live in fear of not having enough, not being good enough, fear, 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 fear.
Mhm.
So it's very hard to make that leap into something new if we're just constricted by our fear.
Mhm.
So before you make that leap off the cliff, you need to align your energy, your thoughts, your vibration with something that's not fear,
Mhm.
which we call love, universal energy force, and actually to form a relationship with spirit.
Mhm.
And again, it comes back to aspecting. You and I have a relationship because we communicate and we spend time together. We commune together.
Mhm.
But in our Western society, we don't do that a lot. You look
Mhm.
at ancient tribes and civilizations, they're constantly communing with spirit and nature.
Mm-hmm.
So they're able to listen and hear the signs. But if you've got your blinkers on and just go, well, 1 + 1 = 2, and I have to do what everyone else does and get the job and get the mortgage and get the house and have the kids, retire and finally 70, then you're kind of screwed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you're listening and there's a spaciousness in your being that's saying, show me, guide me, and I'm open, then you will get the signs. And the signs will whisper in your ear in the beginning. And then they'll sing to you. And then if you're not listening, they'll tap on your shoulder. And then they'll start knocking down the door. And if you're like me and you're stubborn, they'll fucking punch you in the face, give you RSI, be in
Mm.
incredible pain until you finally go, I can't do it anymore
Mm-hmm.
because I'm at my breaking point of losing my mind, my relationship, whatever it is. And actually, none of it's worth it. I need to look after myself. I
Yeah.
need to fight for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get
Yeah.
there in the end.
Yeah, yeah. And I think so many people, they wait for that breaking point to actually make a change in their life. And it's like, what if you just chose to make that change just because you love yourself, not because there's no other choice and because you're dying on the inside?
Absolutely. And the thing is that where people are, it's in their comfort zone, right? It's known. But to jump out of the comfort zone, you're entering the unknown, and it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
And survival mechanism is gonna be on high alert going, I mean, when I've faced that, it's like I end up going, I'm gonna be 70 years old, blue hair, working in Kmart and homeless. Like that's where my shadow goes through. But that's my body's reality when I'm in that fear state.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing is you run that adrenaline and really every day release the adrenaline and the fear. Because if you're not doing that, you can't clear out enough to actually see what possibilities lie on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you're doing that, say, a sheep within a system that is built for us to essentially be slaves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And so just as for a practice for someone to do like every day, for instance, you spoke about aligning yourself with joy. Do you want to maybe talk about how you align your energy with joy, and then when you move through the fear, how you actually release that from your body and how they can make that, a part of their everyday practice?
Correct, John. Yeah. So first thing in the morning when you wake up, and there's so many modalities that support this. And I like to do last thing before I go to sleep is straight away tune into the energy of gratitude. And
Mm-hmm.
what I do, 3 things I'm grateful for the last 24 hours, and 3 things I'm grateful for in general. Now, some people do that via journaling. I've done that. What I find is more embodied and powerful is I will sit in my bed and I'll feel it and be like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you for this amazing, incredible opportunity, like to be in Costa Rica. Like, wow, thank you so much. Because we can be in heaven on earth and still not receive how fun it is because the mind's head fucking us. So gratitude is like a non-negotiable
Mm-hmm.
practice to do. But then you start to be open to where the magic is in life
Yeah.
as well. Start to attract more of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if I've woken up with a lot of energy, I will shake first, but mostly like straight away before the mind comes in, I'll like sit up and go into gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's shaking, just releasing. It's the adrenaline release that you did, and with Ariel, and it's just shaking, shaking, shaking to get out of the mind into the body and just to release whatever sound is coming from the body. And that may end up with growling, that may be crying, you may feel nothing in the beginning.
Mm.
But if you stick with it long enough, the body is going to feel safe to express whatever tension is in the body and release it through breath, sound, and movement. So it's actually releasing from your nervous system and
Yeah.
creating spaciousness for new energy to come in.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I could
Third
just
part.
say,
Mm,
when you said about not feeling anything in the beginning, I think during that, in my own experience, it's really important not to like judge yourself for not feeling anything. And I mean, through the whole process, I think it's really important not to judge yourself, of course. But, it's normal when even with me being raised by mum, I still, I kind of pushed it away a little bit and I definitely suppressed my emotions and disconnected from myself for a period. And so at the start, I couldn't just sit there and start feeling what was alive in my body because it was so far down. So just being compassionate with yourself and being like, it's okay. You'll get there. It's fine that you're not feeling anything, and just staying, connected to the breath and to love throughout all of that.
absolutely. And it's because those parts have been suppressed or essentially have been abandoned because we've distracted ourselves, suppressed, bypassed, that they don't feel safe to come up. And that's for good reason because they're
Hmm.
not safe. We're not willing to hold them. So the
Yeah.
thing with daily practice in this way is they start to go, okay, you're there for me. You're still there for me. You're not judging me. And they will come up to be felt and they will come up to be released. And that's how we create safety for ourselves, is by holding ourselves like a best friend would hold ourselves, like the ideal would hold us, like the ideal father would hold us. And that's me, what coming into wholeness is being all of that for ourselves, our best beloved, our best friend, our best teacher, our best mother and father. And when you stay with the shake or with the emotional processing, those parts can come to the surface in a safe and integrated way.
Hmm. And were you done with the daily practice when I interrupted, or do you have such?
2 more steps.
Yeah.
So, we've got the tuning into gratitude, we've got the releasing whatever the tension, the negativity, the fear is, and then the third part is what I was speaking into, which is to connect with spirit,
Hmm.
right? And so I do that through mantra because I'm a tantrika and that's what we do.
Hmm.
I will connect with Ganesha, I will connect with Shiva and Shakti, but I will connect with and sometimes medicine music, but I will connect with something beyond this physical reality that for me is tangible, and call in that energy into my life. And the mantra that I really love is Shiva Shakti Vishvasa, and Vishvasa is the Sanskrit word for faith and trust.
Hmm.
And when I'm chanting this mantra, Shiva Shakti Vishvasa, I'm just connecting to the energy and faith and trust in this whole cosmic play that we're just this tiny part of, that you can't not believe that there's some divine orchestration behind it, it's
Hmm.
just, it is
Yeah.
what it is. So I do that, and then I finish with silent meditation, and I think this is the other really important practice, is then just to come into stillness, even just for 10 minutes, and just open to spaciousness, and that's the training of consciousness going from the mind thinking just into pure presence and stillness. That if you practice gratitude, you've shaken your body, you've connected to something beyond this 3D, the stillness is a lot easier to drop into. And in the beginning, it may feel agonizing, but I promise you, you stick with it. And it's just like you just don't want to leave that space because it's just consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so important to have that time at the end to, let yourself integrate it all and to just sit in, with masculine presence. Cause I was talking about this recently with mom as well. Often when I'll process, it'll be, a lot of processing. And yes, I'm holding myself with my masculine during that, but it's a lot of like feminine expression. And then I do sit and integrate, but there could definitely be more of that stillness and integration afterwards, and really bringing in that masculine, to balance out the feminine flow that I've just had and all the
Mhm.
processing and emotional intensity.
Absolutely. And that's when, from that space of just presence and stillness, that's when spirit can channel, or our soul, or whatever you want to call it, can like give us guidance and direction where you're like, oh, wow, okay. And you're
Mhm,
not looking for it, but that's also what the posture of an experience of meditation gives you, is you're just open to receive whatever wants to come through.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
then it's always nice to end with a little dance, and just come into joy and celebration, put on your favorite song, and so where you are and the journey that you're heading on, and that you are protected, you are guided, and everyone who is living their ideal life in their joy, their ease, and their pleasure had to take that leap off the cliff.
Mhm,
It takes courage. It takes a lot of courage, but that's the path of evolution, is of courage and of doing differently than what 95% of the population are doing.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so doing this practice every day makes such a huge difference, and this is as well, what they learn in the practitioner training and really becomes established. And it honestly, even just 10 minutes of doing this, you can fast track it if you don't have time, because some days, honestly, we don't have time to sit there and slowly go through it all. And that makes such a huge difference. Just every day, really connecting with yourself and taking the time to prioritize looking after your emotional body as well as your physical body, and moving through those fears that are, stopping you from moving and expanding your life every day.
And it's about consistency.
Mhm.
And so this friend of mine just, or a new friend of mine just gave me this gratitude journal book that he does everywhere. And he said to me, he gets messages from all people from all walks of life. And the biggest thing is like going, I'm just going to do something every day. You
Mhm.
know, he said, if you stick to it for 30 days, because it's a minimum of 30 days to change patterns,
Yeah.
the shift is monumental. And every time I've gone into a 30-day practice of a container, it's monumental. And we've got like 3 more days until the first of the month, 1st of December. So it would be, for those of you out there, if this resonates with you and you're like, yeah, I don't want to be in this fear state. I want to have more courage. I want to like go after my life.
Mm.
Now, the month before New Year, start clearing all of that out, aligning to your truth, and the next step will be given to you to take.
Mhm.
You do inner work and spirit's like, "Great, you're ready. Okay, we're gonna open this door now." And it works like
Yeah.
magic. It's quantum field, it's quantum energy. We live in a reflective
Yeah. Yeah.
December. Give yourself a 30-day challenge, or however many days there are in December, and what a way to usher in the new year.
Mhm. Yeah. Love it. Okay, I think we have a question from someone. How do you differentiate between aligning with your joy and reverting to non-productive coping mechanisms?
Well, one expands you and evolves you and moves you towards what you're wanting, and the other one you feel like shit after.
Mm.
So, non-productive coping mechanism may be like, "Oh, I wanna eat chippies in bed and watch a movie. That's gonna be in my joy."
Mm.
Some it's fair enough, but if you keep doing that as a coping mechanism again and again, you'll be in more fear, more stress, and more anxiety.
Mhm.
Whereas if your joy is, "I wanna become a yoga teacher, or I wanna become a tantra practitioner," then to align with your joy doesn't mean it's gonna be bliss bubbles all the way. If that's what's in your live that life, then what are the steps to take to get there? And you need to keep aligning with the end result of where you wanna be. It's all quantum physics and Joe Dispenza's work. So
Mm.
visualize how you're gonna feel when you're in that life. Look at your life now. there must be some type of unhappiness in there or dissatisfaction. What would aligning with your joy look like? What would the end result be?
Mhm.
And whatever that is, feel that every day as well in your morning practice. And then go, all right, well, what are the next steps to do that? Do some research. What I did with Tantra was aligning with my joys. I went, I'm going to stop traveling the world and I'm going to invest my energy, my time, and my finances into Tantra retreats. And I did that for 3 years with every spare time I had.
Mhm.
And that was a choice I made, and then look what door opened to me.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a mix of, embodying that joy that you're, maybe seeking from a specific thing that you want to accomplish, embodying that joy now, but also taking action towards making it happen.
Absolutely, and not giving up, like, you have to have that positive mindset of, "Okay, I'm gonna trust myself, I'm gonna trust this process," and having that
Mm.
was
Yeah. Yeah. Like with this person, what they're saying with the coping mechanism, I think when you're taking part in a coping mechanism, if you pause and check in with your body, you can feel if there's genuine expansion or if it's, escape and distraction. And, non
mm,
productive, aligning with your joy, it doesn't always need to be productive. Like it can be just to make you happy. So just, yeah, remembering that it doesn't always need to be about something productive that's working towards something and aligning with your joy and creating that life that is passionate and making you happy every day. Such a big part of it is just doing things just because they make you happy, not because they're leading anywhere or going towards anything. And when you do that and you prioritize that, just naturally your being starts to create more of that and it flows into your workspace.
that's such a good point. It's such a good point, Sydelle. Because we're so programmed to be like, we got to do, do, do. And actually, what I've found, especially in the last 2 years, and especially now, actually, in my life, with the transition period I'm in, is that aligning with my joy is doing less. It's doing less of the computer stuff, it's doing less of like the management stuff. And where I joy is teaching and working one on one with people and helping them to live
Yeah.
their life.
Mhm.
But used to is like running a business, being behind the scenes, doing all the management, and it's just not in my joy anymore. And so that's been
Yeah.
something to sit with and go, but that's what's familiar and safe.
Mhm.
Really, where my soul is being called to is to dedicate way more time to the things that I love, but actually way more time to myself so that I can
Mhm.
have so that I can
Mhm.
have life with more spaciousness. And that's my word for the coming year is spaciousness. At 47, I've been working my butt off since high school and have been a high achiever. And
Mhm.
now it's not worth it. I'd rather
Mhm.
achieve,
Mhm.
earn less, and just have more time to smell the roses and
And to
grow a
experience
out.
life, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really also feel the same way, like, when I quit my job with horses at the beginning of this year, because I just, the same as you, I lost my passion because I worked so hard and didn't prioritize just relaxation and joy, and I really was just focused on the goals and achieving, and I burnt myself out, and then, as I've
Mm.
started to just prioritize doing things that are fun for me and for no other reason other than that and just spending more time in nature and playing music and then naturally you start to feel more creative and inspired to do different things that flow on from those passions.
And then ironically, you end up earning more money
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so someone else said, how do we know what our purpose is? um just following slash create the joy.
Yeah, so there's multiple kind of aspects of this, and but for you to connect with what your purpose is, you need to be trying different things and living your life. If you're just sitting at your desk in your job, you're like, "What's my purpose?" and trying to consider it from there, you're not
Mm,
fine. So what I did, because I would always take things slowly, is I pulled back from my working hours. So I reduced my pay. I pulled back from working hours so I had more time to travel. I'd spend a lot of time in India, and I just followed the things that expanded and opened my heart. And it was essentially spirituality and music. And I
mhm.
just do more of those things. And then I randomly came across Tantric Women's Circle, which is when I first met Chantel and you. And it just hit me. It was like, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for myself. So
Mhm.
it's what inspired me in terms of my purpose to love and expand myself, and
Yeah.
often the things that have really helped us the most that we've just come across in life that have changed our lives that you can't stop talking about. I lost friends
Yeah.
because I was talking about Tantra, that they needed to go. You know, that and you know you've found your thing because it's changed your life, and whether that's a fabulous clothing brand or style, whether it's
Mm.
an invention of yours, whether it's a healing modality, it's like whatever has impacted you the most is probably what's gonna inspire you to share with others and, pay it forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I love the way you said that. That was great.
And you need spaciousness to connect to your joy,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
It all starts with what we are
Try
saying,
different things.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So for someone who's feeling maybe connected to this same journey as you and maybe wanting to go into a life of service and they feel like maybe that's their passion, do you want to speak into a bit more about the practitioner training and kind of when that's starting and what that will look like?
Yeah, I mean, my invitation would be to go to the landing page, read what it's about, feel in your body if that expands you and that excites you. And if you're completely unfamiliar with Tantra, listen to the podcasts and start to get a feel for it and live it in your life.
Mhm.
And the practitioner training, we open once a year and it's open now. It closes end of January.
Yep.
So, um,
And there's a
ye
discount as well until
yeah, so there's a early bird special launch price until 11th of December. So there's a little bit of time left, and then it goes to full price.
yeah.
And it's 18 months, so you have time to study the material, practice. There's a lot of support, there's pod groups, there's mentoring, there's Chantel, myself, and Erin who hold the container showing up live every week. And you're really guided through the process. There's access to the online course library so you can go through your own healing yourself alongside studying the material.
Mhm.
So you can take that integrated approach of doing what you're doing now and also jumping into this container of practitioner training and seeing the way it impacts your life. And within, I think, 4 months, you're starting to do practice sessions with clients.
Mhm.
So, for completely new to the healing realm, the training synthesizes multiple key modalities of mindfulness, of spiritual psychology, of breath work, of meditation, of shamanism. That's Chantel's gift is synthesis of
Mhm.
in
Everything.
modality, everything in
Yeah.
the context of Tantra,
Mhm.
which is also about everything.
Mhm.
So yeah, check it out. We'll put a link in the thread and feel if it's for you. Your body will know if you're interested or not. And the best thing I can recommend is our team who do discovery calls are all beautiful human beings, and we genuinely want people who this is in alignment with their soul, their heart, their time, and their finances. And there's multiple. payment options and different ways of doing the training. So jump on a call and have someone kind of hold space for you actually to feel into whether it's a full yes for you, because it's a commitment and it's a life-changing commitment. So you want to be ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Cool. All right. Well, I think those are all the questions. Is there anything else that you feel like you want to share?
No, that feels pretty complete. I would just finish by saying, you know, if you're not doing a daily practice, then it's the thing that's going to help you mentally and emotionally the most. And
Mm,
you deserve that time to look
mhm.
after yourself.
Yeah.
And when you do that, then you can be clear on your decisions. Do I want to invest and commit to an 18-month practitioner training? If you're clearing out and you're aligning with your truth, you're going to know yes or no.
Yeah, and
Like,
feeling that fear and really seeing, is it this fear actually just holding me back, and can I maybe, move with the fear and still have courage through the fear?
absolutely. And uncertainty and unclarity isn't a fun way to live, you know? And so you deserve that. You deserve to give yourself that time every morning.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say as well, Mum has some really great playlists, Chantel, for your daily practice, and different shaking playlists, and for different things, grief, anger. So I think her Spotify is probably linked in her Instagram bio.
Mhm.
Definitely check that out. There's lots of different good playlists to just help activate that emotion. It was really helpful for me to have music as just an activation tool, especially in the beginning.
Absolutely. Yeah, good one.
Yeah. All righty. Well, thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Sydelle.
Thanks for listening to the Love, Sex and Freedom podcast. For more great free resources, in-person and online workshops, and our retreats, find us on Instagram and Facebook at Embodied Awakening Academy, or visit embodiedawakeningacademy.com.